do is finish off the key cabinet today. For those of you who don't know, I've got a key cabinet because I lost my car keys for 3 weeks. And as soon as I found them, my wife said, go down to the workshop and make a cabinet to put the keys in and hang it on the wall. So after 40 years of being together, married, manacled, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to have a key cabinet and we can put the keys on the wall. Okay, I put some keys in here because historically these mitre joints that I've got here are basically a butt joint on a mitre, and they are not very strong at all. So what I do to strengthen them is, go back to there, put keys in. And the way I do that, which I'll explain on Saturday, is I just set it up in the vise. If we can do this, I'll show you. And you can either make it so it's a feature, or you can make it so it's the same material. For this, I just used some veneer that I had lying around, literally. And I just marked the distances I wanted them in, marked the depth on both sides, and then with a saw, I just cut down to both these marks either side, and then put this veneer in with a bit of glue. And the great thing about this is when you come to take it off, you just do that. And a lot of the times it just breaks off, like that stuff there. And if it's stubborn, what you do is you just get a, whatchamacallit, chisel, put your glasses on, and just pare it back to the main part of the cabinet. I used 3 pieces here. You could have got away with 2, or you could have used 4. It's all just personal preference. Preference. I got someone else's teeth in this morning. Oh. So I'll pare these back, and then I'll show you what I did to the door, which was similar. Any different? It's silly, isn't it? It was similar, only different. Well, okay, it's the same process, only I did something different to these. And the reason I did it a different way is because the door's going to take far more stresses than this particular part of the cabinet, because this is just going to be screwed to the wall, so it's not going anywhere or doing anything exciting. Whereas the door gets opened and closed, and there's impact stresses on it when the door shuts. Not that it's going to be slammed shut. So I'll just clean these off, and then we can move on to the other stuff. Okay, so that's what I've done with this, and you can see now that's strengthened those joints. Now the way that works is if you've got a butt joint, it doesn't matter if it's a mitre or not, that's your butt joint. And you've got, oh, we'll do it that way, you've got end grain to end grain, and there is not a very strong shear connection there. It can easily break, but by putting those wedges in, you've got that, or actually that, and then I've put straight grain across the end grain, like that. So even if this part breaks here, when the end grain touches end grain, we've still got long grain going through the joint, which will hold it all together. Now what I did on the door, because the door is much more substantial, and as I said, it's going to suffer more impacts, I put heavy bits of timber in there. And that was just running this door over the table saw. You could have used, quite easily, could have used an ordinary saw with a 1/8" chisel, or if you, whatever size chisel you've got, and then you cut the timber to the size of the slots that you cut. Okay, I'm going to cut these off, then I'm going to shave them. Yeah, well, I'll plane them flat. So I'm just going to put this in the vise and get a Japanese saw because it cuts quicker. I could quite easily use a coping saw, I could use a crosscut saw. Okay, so any saw, it doesn't matter. And near enough, good enough. You don't have to get it flush because I'm going to clean it off with a hand plane. If you've got a bandsaw, you could do it on a bandsaw. You won't like that, Bob, because it's PVA, it's not hide glue. Just make sure you don't go flush though. Unless, if you've got a flush saw, I've got two sorts of flush saws. This is a garlic flexible flush saw, which you can actually saw flush with, and that'll flush it down to the joint. And this is a French one, which is a hardback one, and same thing. But I'm going to do it this way and then take it out with a hand plane, most likely a block plane. Haven't decided yet. So what I'm going to do now is just flush these off. And for that, I think I'll use a block plane. Yes, Bob. And you'll notice when I'm planing this, I'm planing into the stile or into the rail. I'm not planing this way. Two reasons. One, because that's on a tangential angle like that, the grain is running that way. And also, if I was planing this way and I pop these ends out, it looks a bit ugly. Clean that off with a scraper if you wanted, or if you wanted just a bit of sandpaper. But I'm just backing this plane off, and I'm just going to take the smallest of slices off. There we go. If there's any little gaps, like for example there, where I've pushed that home, I didn't get it home all the way, so I just fill that with a bit of wax or a bit of putty just when I'm finishing off the door. But that's it. I mean, that's a really nice, strong door now. It's not going to break. And the same with the cabinet. It's not going to break either, because it's all held together very nicely.